All right. Welcome back. Welcome in. You found us once again. Shoot the Gap, the Rabbit Hole Fantasy Football Focus Show, here to help you to be gruntled with your fantasy football team and your fantasy football decisions. I am, of course, Brian the Amigo Baldwin, here to help you out. Yeah, man, week 14. Woo! This is the regular season for most leagues, and so this is a do or die, or if you've already locked it in, man, you're just kind of chilling out, so you're just trying to get your chops warm, keep them warm, for the playoffs that's going to be happening next week. Yeah, hopefully you're all making it in. Hopefully, if you're on the cusp, I'm hoping that this information will help you get to where you guys need to be. All right, so this is our 180th show, December the 5th, in this hopeful year of our Lord, man. And today, do we have a great show for you, man? Okay, so we are going to be talking some news, talking some waiver wire targets for week 14, and of course, starter sit for Thursday night's game. So, a lot to do. So we got a long way to go, right? Got a lot to do. Short time to get there. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's get started with some Merry Early Christmas. All right, this is where, whenever, bad news, nobody ever wants to hear bad news, nobody does, but I figured that the best way to say bad news is in a good way, so I'll say Merry Early Christmas to a person's manager, and then we'll discuss what happened. All right, so here we go, nice and easy. Merry Early Christmas, Noah Brown managers. Oh, this one hurts. Yeah. Houston Texans wide receiver Tank Dell suffered a broken left fibula during this past Sunday's 22-17 win against the Broncos and underwent a procedure to repair it on Monday. Per Ben Arthur of FoxSports.com, Coach D'Amico Ryans confirmed after Dell had surgery that the wide receiver will miss the remainder of the season. Yeah, so he ends his rookie campaign with 47 catches on 75 targets for 709 yards and 7 touchdowns in 11 games. Yeah, so. But after he left, Nico Collins went off. But I'm giving the gift to Noah Brown. Why? Because Nico Collins was going off way before this injury. So he was kind of trading back and forth with Dell. So Noah Brown now goes from splitting time with Robert Woods to starting as the wide receiver 2 for C.J. Stroud. And you saw what he did. It makes sense. All right, the math makes sense. If you look at it, that when Nico was out, Noah Brown was awesome. Whenever Robert Woods was out, Noah Brown was awesome. So, here he goes. He's going around the spot carousel. Tank Dell's out. Here we go. Right? Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. All right, so moving on. Merry Early Christmas, Ezekiel Elliott managers. This is another one. I had last week. I had Tank Dell and Ezekiel, and this next one, Ramondre Stevenson, in my lineup. So yeah, that felt bad. I also have Puka Nacua in the same league. So yeah, it was a real rough hour and a half Sunday morning. So anyway, New England running back Ramondre Stevenson is believed to have suffered a high ankle sprain that will require him to miss multiple games. So, yeah, he got, you saw the injury. It was on that hip drop thing, whatever it is, man. It's rough. It's rough. It happened. It's okay that it happened, and we're working through it. And after he left, of course, Ezekiel Elliott, he became the main back. Yeah, and so he was the one that would took all the snaps, and he was looking okay before Stevenson's injury. So yeah, he's like the top running back waiver wire ad, and I don't need it for the running back waiver wire ad. Said that right? Yeah, so I don't need to explain exactly why. Okay, it's obvious, but I do want to say something with caution though. Okay, because right now, you'll listen to different podcasts or read different things, and they're really hyping up Zeke right now. And the reason why they're doing that is because we are in week 14. All right, you're not going to find high usage. It's hard to find high usage players at this point. Think about how many weeks that the waiver wire has been picked through. Okay, this is why he's being exalted. Now, he is attached to the Patriots offense, who looks disheveled, looks terrible. So I really wouldn't want to buy into that, okay? Because there's a chance that he's going to be sharing with Ty Montgomery or Jermichael Hasty, or maybe they'll pick somebody else off the waiver wire, and bring him in and give him a shot. They want to tank, man. And this is the best way to do it. So you don't want to have pieces. You normally don't want to have pieces of a tanking team. So, I would use that with caution. Even though he is the number one running back pickup for the week, I'm not saying I think he's far from a league winner. Merry early Christmas, Calvin Ridley managers. Yeah, the Jacksonville head coach Doug Peterson said Tuesday that Kirk will miss some time due to the core muscle injury that he suffered during Monday's 34-31 overtime defeat to the Bengals. Kirk departed following a 26-yard catch on the Jaguars' first offensive play. I mean, we all saw it. It was ruled out. All right, and but Peterson has already said that he's not going to be available for Sunday's game. All right, against Cleveland. So that means that the only horses in the stall are Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, Parker Washington, Tim Jones. Yeah, no relation, I'm assuming. Elijah Cook. Yeah, so not necessarily world beaters. The one that really sticks out, of course, is Calvin Ridley. And of course, the gift goes to Calvin Ridley though, because he is now, in my mind, and I would say in my mind, unquestioned wide receiver one. On that team. All right, they'll definitely look to get him involved. Even though he had a statistically quiet night on Monday, he did come within 1 yard of his 4 TD in 3 games and was given 3 jet sweeps in an attempt to get the ball into his hands. So he should see an uptick. So Merry early Christmas to him. Let's see here, a couple more. Merry early Christmas, CJ Beathard managers, staying in the same team. Yeah, Coach Peterson said that quarterback Trevor Lawrence suffered a high ankle sprain during the same game that Christian Kirk left. And today's MRI revealed the severity of the injury. And the head coach said that the Jaguars will see where Lawrence is in a couple of days before potentially making a ruling on his status for Week 14. Yeah, so I guess it's notable that he ruled out Kirk so fast, but then is not ruling out Lawrence. But even if he can't go, CJ Beathard is going to be the sub. He came in. He didn't look too bad. He really didn't. He didn't look too bad. And because he led the team to overtime, right? And so I do want to state this though, that even if Lawrence is out, okay, Ridley still gets his gift, right? So you can throw away that receipt. No need to return it. It'll be all right. Okay, all right, here we go. Merry early Christmas, Jaden Reed and Romeo DOUBS managers. Yeah. Now this one I wanted to talk about. Okay, the Waiver Wire show. Wanted to make sure to mention this. Green Bay Packers head coach Matt LaFleur said on Monday that the Packers expect to know more about Watson's right hamstring injury later on. They said today. But I haven't heard anything, so I guess it's going to be tomorrow when we start looking at the practice reports and he has to speak to the media. So we'll know more then. But the report indicates that Watson will he's undergoing tests right now to determine the extent of his injury. Right now, Rob Demovsky of ESPN did note that Watson did, quote unquote, seem to be moving around better on Monday during a brief sighting in the locker room. So he was having a breakout day whenever that happened. So hopefully he can get on the field. But with him off the field, it was rookie wide receiver Jaden Reed. He becomes the most explosive wide receiver for Jordan Love, who is heating up, right? So that's why he gets part of the gift. Sharing the gift is Romeo DOUBS, who was looking, and the reason why is because he was looking like the steal of the draft in weeks 1 through 3 when Christian Watson was out. He was Jordan Love's most targeted wide receiver, so of course That was before Jaden Reed got his rookie feet under him. So that's why it's a shared gift, because we're not 100% sure who's going to be the main guy. But it looks to me like it's going to be if history repeats itself, it's going to be Romeo Doubs. If recency if recency is your focus, then it's going to be Jaden Reed. Either which way, with Watson out, it's going to open up for both those guys. Both those guys are startable, so one way or the other, who knows where it's going to go. It's against the Giants next week, so it's a great matchup. It's a great matchup for them to prosper, but I don't know if it's a good like wide receiver matchup. If you know what I'm talking about, meaning like if they get ahead, they might just start running the ball a lot, and so that's something that's definitely something to keep in mind, and to keep in your heart when you're setting your lineups and you're making your waiver picks. I think it's a good pickup. The rest of their schedule looks great for Green Bay, so to me it makes sense to go ahead and pick up Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed. Play those guys without them there, especially against a good matchup. Because even if they do just run the ball, the route to running the ball, okay, meaning the first half, should be really, really nice and really, really good for those two guys. So and you're gonna have a little bit of that of Wicks involved, but yeah, those are the two main guys. So Merry the Christmas, man. All right, we did Christmas. So we got to stay with the theme. We got to go with the Grinch. So let's go ahead and let's get a Grinch in here. Okay, one Grinch. You're a mean one, Derrick Henry. Yeah. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel said Monday that Henry is not in the concussion protocol. Henry didn't return to the game on Sunday after being checked out for a concussion, right? But reported that after the game concluded that the running back was following just the protocol. That's why he didn't. A day later, Vrabel says that he won't be subject to the protocol and that he should be available for Week 14 against the Dolphins. Yep, that rips that gift of being a workhorse back for Tajay Spears right out of his hands. Yeah, you're a foul one, Mr. Henry. Yeah, so there we go. All right, that was Merry Early Christmas there. So, and a little the Grinch. So hopefully you'll enjoy that, or you enjoyed that. Okay, so. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to some news. All right, here we go.
No news is good news. You ain't got any blues if you ain't got any news. Ha! I got my real good news for the news.
Yeah, dude, I love Gary Gnu's. Hopefully you guys know what that is. Yeah, the Great Space Coaster, fantastic. All right, moving on. The Jets have released quarterback Tim Boyle and signed Brett Rippin, off of Seattle's practice squad. So reportedly, they are turning back to Jack Wilson. So the Jets, man, they are officially waving that white flag. Man, they are like, we are done. 2023, leave us be. We are done. D-O-N-D. Dundee, yeah. So yeah, and so that's why you see them going back to Wilson, because they're like, you know what, let's just whatever. We're not going to try this carousel stuff. It's not working. We're not going to the playoffs. We don't have a chance. Rodgers not coming back. It's done. The season's over. All right. So, and I think that's going to reverberate through the team. So all of the fantasy football assets you have in the Jets, I think is not going to be good. So Garrett Wilson, I mean, this is actually kind of good for Garrett Wilson, because before Zach Wilson's meltdown, he was getting peppered and looking pretty good. But again, I don't trust Zach Wilson, and so I would not put in Garrett Wilson. We'll see. I mean, if it's better, who knows? Whatever. It's not what it was. It was a wasted early draft pick. Sorry, it happened to me. It happens, man. It happens. But Hall. Let's talk about Hall. Yeah, he's. How about the fact that he was splitting with Dalvin Cook so much? I mean, reports came right before kickoff last on Sunday that there was going to be more snaps for Dalvin Cook, and it was kind of like that was met with some scoffs. It was like, yeah, right, okay, whatever. I'll believe it when I see it. Well, man, it was real. Yeah, Dalvin Cook was used more, and what that sounds like to me, again, the higher usage of Dalvin Cook, the reinstallation of Zach Wilson looks like that they're giving up on their season. So that means that Breece Hall, he's not a league winner. He's not going. I don't think he's going to be used as much. We'll see. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm just telling you what it looks like. This is just what it looks like, and I'm giving you my opinion, and that's my opinion. And that's what it seems, and that's what I'm going with. And so I would stay away from the Jets as far as their offensive weapons. Start every defense against them. Okay, so yeah, the Houston's defense, yeah, you got to be pretty happy about that. Okay, so all right. Anyway, so moving on. Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin. One thing before I moved on from there, I did want to mention that, and I thought it was interesting. I'm sure you've heard it already, but if you haven't, it's kind of funny. It's a little, well, just it's somewhat humorous, but only because there's truth in it, and the root of truth, or root of humor is truth. Reportedly, Zach Wilson was hesitant taking over the starting job, citing concern for his health from being behind that offensive line. He's like, I don't want to go back in there, man. I don't want to go back in there. So we'll see how he goes. I think methinks we're going to hear I'm seeing ghosts comment come from Wilson, or at least we're going to be seeing the action of somebody who's seeing ghosts. So yeah, start your defenses against the Jets. Moving on, Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin said Monday that Pickett won't be available for Thursday's game, Kenny Pickett that is, against the Patriots after undergoing successful tightrope surgery to address a right ankle sprain. So yeah, so he's basically that's going to keep him sidelined through week 17. He's expected to avoid. He's expected to avoid the stint on IR that would put him through week 17, right? But he's going to miss enough games, which he's pretty much done for a fantasy season. Mitch Trubisky came in after him, so he will be the starting quarterback next whenever Pickett is healing from this surgery, and he didn't do too bad. I mean, 11 of 17 passes for 117 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. So that's Russell Wilson numbers. So, and everybody seems to be celebrating him right now. So, if you're into that, there you go. But one thing I will mention, last season when Trubisky was under center, it was Deontay Johnson that saw most of the targets. So George Pickens, I would not start George Pickens. And in fact, like the running backs are going to start in good matchups in this league, or on this team. But the only wide receiving option, including Pat Freiermuth, would be Deontay Johnson. He's the only one that caught the touchdown, a garbage touchdown. And man, there's just some bad, it just smells bad around Deontay Johnson. 2 weeks ago, he did that fumble and ignored it, and didn't react. And that was a bad look. And then this week he finally gets a touchdown, and he does this overly gigantic celebration in garbage time. So, I don't know, man. It's difficult for me to trust. I guess, you know what? It's not that it's difficult for me to trust him as far as statistically and what he's going to do. Statistically, it looks fine. I just don't like that kind of guy on my team. He's on one of my fantasy teams, but not in my fantasy lineup. Maybe he should be. I don't know. I'll work through that. Okay, but I'm just saying, it's just a bad juju around him. One more bit of news. Let me see if that's the last bit. Yeah, it's the last bit. Indianapolis running back Jonathan Taylor. I did want to mention this as my first show since the news broke. He's expected to require 3 to 5 weeks to recover from his right thumb surgery that he underwent in Los Angeles. Remember that the estimated recovery timeline provided by Colts owner Jim Irsay was like 2 to 3 weeks, right? And everybody was all excited. Now it's 3 to 5. That's what I've been saying the whole time. Okay, you talk and let's do the simple math. Week 13, week 14, week 15, week 16, week 17, end of fantasy season. He's done for the fantasy season, guys and gals. Yeah, so Zach Moss is going to be starting. I know Zach didn't do too well last time, but start him with confidence. He's getting all the workload. It's going to be hard to find somebody who's going to get that heavy of a workload. So. And even if he comes back, let's say if he comes back, oh, how ironic. Let's say if he comes back on this month, on the 4th way. Ironic, it's just the thumb that I'm pulling in. Anyway, let's say he does. He had surgery on his thumb ligament, everybody. All right, so that's pretty important for holding on to a football. All right, and you're going to have, one hit on that hand, and you're going to have defenders, they're going to be hitting it with their helmet. You're going to have defenders pulling on it, trying to re-injure that to get him. I mean, not because they're mean, but come on, man. If you go like this and you get the ball, why wouldn't you do that? It's a game. It's the way the game's played. And so they're going to be trying to do that. Chances of re-injury real high. He's the darling guy. I think the reason why they didn't put him on IR is just because they're hoping that they're going to still be in the playoff race by the time that he's somewhere within a month's time. I mean, right now they're currently 7-5. The Colts are second behind the 8-4 Jags, but Houston is tied with them with the same record, and I believe they own the tiebreaker right now. So the race is on. I mean, the race for the playoffs is on, man. It really is. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and let's move on. Let's move on to the waiver wire. How about we do that? Yeah, this is a really important waiver wire show. If you're fighting for your playoff life, like I am. So let's go ahead and let's start with the QBs. All right, so Joshua Doubs. Okay, the number 1, Joshua Doubs. Okay, why am I saying Joshua Doubs? You know how he looked. Look. Okay, he threw 4 interceptions in Week 12. All right, that was a bad game. Okay, and he could have been dropped because that plus a lot of the questions about him being a starting quarterback going into the bye week. All right, has popped up, but all indications are that he's going that one bad performance is not going to have him bench, even though the coach said that he's going to be reviewing everything during the bye week. But that's what they do in the bye week, right? So he's going to be starting. Look, it's either that or Nick Mullins. Okay, so that's what you're looking at. And if he might be getting Jefferson back, he has the best quarterback schedule over the rest of the season. So there's reason, like if you just want to have a backup quarterback, just see what's going on. Joshua Doubs is not a bad play. I'm telling you guys, it's ugly. It's ugly. Matthew Stafford's probably okay. And these are in no particular order, by the way. These are just names I'm throwing out there. Matthew Stafford had completed 22 of his 37 passing attempts against the Cleveland Browns for 279 yards and 3 touchdowns. Excellent. It was only to, but it was to the, it was like this is that's what I meant to say. He was his second game that he was actually producing pretty high. He did pretty well again the previous week against Arizona, but that was more of a Kyron Williams and Higbee game. But this time it was Puka Nacua, man. Yeah, Puka Nacua came back to life, and how tough is that guy? That kid is a tough kid. I have him on one of my fantasy teams, and I'm just so happy. I'm so happy to have him around. Yeah, I like having that dude. He's a warrior. Definitely going to be somebody I'm going to be targeting next year at the draft. But Matthew Stafford, look at the numbers. Looks great. Okay, it's a It's worth stashing Stafford. Okay, it really is. Okay, to a week early before he play the Washington Commanders, because the Washington Commanders have the most fantasy football points to quarterbacks this season. So if you're looking towards week 15, the beginning of the season, like let's say that if you're if you're already locked for the playoffs, but you don't have a bye, you didn't secure the bye, so yes, and you have Trevor Lawrence. This might be not a bad idea to have this guy as your stash to go. So that's Matthew Stafford that I was talking about. Jameis Winston is interesting. Derek Carr, I didn't mention this in the news, but yeah, he was concussed on Sunday. So Jameis Winston is somebody that you could add. But look, the way I know you're thinking that is Jameis Winston, okay, and he throws a lot of turnovers, and he does, he can, okay, and there's a reason why he's a backup, right? But the Saints have the 5th best schedule for quarterbacks over the rest of the season. They face the Carolina Panthers, the New York Giants, the Los Angeles Rams, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to close out the season. Not bad at all. So the matchups get better as the season progresses, right? And Winston's fantasy value will be much higher if Carr misses multiple games. So yeah, so pretty good, pretty good there. Gardner Minshew, we talked about him last week. We'll mention him again. This time he threw for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns in the Colts overtime win against the Tennessee Titans. See, this is why Taylor is not on IR. So yeah, I mean, he faces the Bengals next week, and that's like the best matchup for fantasy managers looking for a quarterback off the waiver wire, right? I mean, the Colts also have the 2nd best schedule for quarterbacks over the rest of the season. Not bad. Hold on to Josh Downs. Okay, this is a good time to tell you. It's hold on to Josh Downs. I know you're disappointed, but if you watch the Start Sit show that I did mention that that the Titans were very tough there against the slot receivers. There you go. Against Cincinnati, well, you saw what was that dude's name? Washington. Yeah, yeah. I mean the rookie for the Jags that came out, played slot and looked pretty good. The only target to the slot receiver, Christian Kirk, caught the ball, did well. So, they look more vulnerable to the slot than Tennessee Titans. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to the running backs. All right, so running backs, let's see, here we go. Of course, we already talked about Ezekiel Elliott. I don't need to mention about Ezekiel Elliott. The information about Zeke or about Stevenson's really bad. Yeah, he's gone for the season, everybody. I don't know if I mentioned that with enough with enough focus, but I need to. That he is gone for the season, everybody. Ramondre Stevenson is gone for the fantasy season. He's not there anymore. If you're depending on him, he's not there anymore. But it's you're picking up the backup with Zeke. You're picking up the backup. Okay, so wasn't even the starting running back. He's now, because the opportunities, he's got more opportunities, but a bad offense. So think about it like as a poor man, Zach Charbonnet. That's what you're picking up. All right, and they play against the Steelers on Thursday night. Short week. Okay, so yeah, it's I don't know, but the Steelers. The Steelers, man, they lost a couple of wide receivers or of linebackers. Sorry, they've been losing linebackers, man, and so they could be beatable. That could be where you hit them. But remember this, okay? This is another thing, another sobering stat that you need to keep in mind when you're looking at Zeke Elliott. He took over for Ramondre Stevenson pretty early in the game. That's how many scores, how many touchdowns the Patriots scored that whole game. 0. In fact, I heard a weird stat, man. It was crazy. It was the first time ever, or it's been mused, and I believe it's true that it's the first time that a game covered the spread and the team was blanked. It was an awful game. The rain didn't help, but still. Here's another one here. Now this one okay, prepare you to be disappointed with this one coming up. Okay, it looks exciting, but there's that old adage that bad news travels fast. Well, we haven't heard anything about DeAndre Swift. He took a big hit late in the fourth quarter, all right, and he didn't return. Now that the game was already out of hand, all right, so there really was no reason for him to be there anyway, right? So maybe that played played part of it, right? No reports to the extent of the injury have been out. Okay, so so it could be nothing. A serious injury or nothing. Okay, so it could be anywhere from nothing to a serious injury, something in between. Who knows? But if he's out, Kenneth Gainwell, yeah, he was already, he had standalone value already because of the amount of work that he was getting. But without DeAndre Swift, then it could get even better. All right, so they have. Here's a warning though: it's a huge game, but it's against the Cowboys. All right, Cowboys are extremely stingy with the run, so I don't think you can. That's why he's more like a stash guy. Like you pick him up and you can't play him, because after that, the next 3 games are the Seahawks, the Giants, and the Cardinals. So pretty good. But this next one, if you're needing this win, if you need a guy right now, Kenneth Gainwell is not the dude. But the dude that would be, this guy here is the one that if you need a running back, all right, like me. Okay, I have Ramondre Stevenson. Just lost him. This guy was sitting on the waivers. Just sitting there on the waiver. And it was one of those things like you wipe your eyes, you're like, am I seeing this? Is this guy really there? Yeah, Keaton Mitchell from Baltimore Ravens. Holy mackerel. I know we're all kind of like, running back for the Ravens, and I've done that too. I've poo-pooed it too. But we're in week 14, man. Okay, so where people get excited about Zeke. Okay, this is where we're at. This is where our life right now. So listen to me. Listen to this. All right. Mitchell played nearly half of the early down snaps in week 11. In week 12, he played more than half of those snaps, taking playing time from Gus Edwards. All right, so Edwards was still getting work on third downs in week 12, and Justice Hill started mixing in. Okay, so it was a 3-man committee in terms of carries. It was. All right, I'm not going to lie to you. Plus, you have Lamar Jackson. All right, but Mitchell's stat line shows, okay, that he gained more yards on his best carry than Edwards, and he got then all of his. Excuse me, let me say that again. Mitchell gained more yards on his best carry than Edwards got from all his attempts combined. Yes, that's what I was trying to tell you. Averaged 6 yards per carry in 3 games, and guess what? He started last week or the week before the bye. He started. And his snap rate is growing. All right, it's looking like he's taking over. And you know what most teams do in their bye week, everybody? Most of the time is whenever whoever is growing or whatever's happening, that's whenever they make the change to that person being the dude. Mitchell already started last week or the week before the bye. Now he has this whole week to get acclimated in that position. Okay, it's looking really exciting for Mitchell. If Mitchell is there, he is the top priority ad over Zeke, in my opinion. I really think so. Because I think that Mitchell's going to be some guy that he's got that big play ability, right? And so he looks incredible when he plays. And now, since he's starting, he's starting to grow. One thing I wanted to also mention, bye weeks is whenever most of the time you see rookies break out. When the rookies are starting to emerge before the bye week, it's something interesting. It's like they go into a chrysalis mode, and then out of the bye week, bam, they explode in what they're going to be. Keaton Mitchell has that written all over him, and I'm excited about him. I grabbed him. I dropped Ramondre, broke my heart, picked up Mitchell, made it feel a little bit better. Try that if you're able to. I think it will help you too. Antonio Gibson is a nice pickup for the Washington Commanders. Brian Robinson Jr. didn't mention this either. He suffered an ankle injury early in the second quarter in Week 13. It was ruled out or before the end of the game, by the third quarter. So Antonio, the Commanders fell behind. Antonio Gibson has always been the pass catching running back, so now he's going to be able to get more run. However, there's another name. Chris Rodriguez Jr. Yeah, Chris Rodriguez Jr. got snaps. All right, and he was getting snaps before the Robinson injury. So Antonio Gibson ending the day with 35 yards on 10 carries and 37 yards on 4 receptions. But Rodriguez wasn't far behind. 7 carries for 29 yards. Yeah, so I think that Gibson is the priority pickup. Okay, so if just keep an eye on Robinson's injury, see if it's serious or not. You never know. But yeah, it could be. Next, they also one thing that complicates the matter is that next week they have the bye. So again, if you need a running back for this coming up Sunday, Gibson ain't the dude. Mitchell's the dude. Yeah, right. Tyjae Spears, I talked about earlier with the Grinch. You can pick him up. He's still just a handcuff. Chase Brown is also interesting for the Bengals. He got some play. He is the backup to Joe Mixon, so he's the handcuff there. This is handcuff season. I've heard a lot of talk about Ty Chandler, Roschon Johnson, DJ Dallas. Let's go ahead and talk about those guys real quick. Roschon Johnson, listen, I'm not interested in any of the Bears running backs, and I cannot recommend them to anybody. All right, and I refuse to, because you're looking at, it's a committee plus a running quarterback. Sounds a lot like you're like, Brian, well, that sounds a lot like Baltimore situation. So why are you happy about Baltimore and you're not happy about the Bears? Well, the Bears there's nobody really breaking out, because even though Roschon Johnson got a lot of play last week, it was because Deontay Foreman was inactive with an ankle and shin injuries. Well, he could be back. Okay, if he's back, then it's all muddled again. 3 there. All right, it doesn't look good. Right. Plus, it's not as strong as an offense as the Baltimore Ravens. Definitely not in the same position as far as where they are in their quest for a championship. So, and you saw Mitchell rising, start to take form before the bye week. And then now we have the situation with Roschon Johnson, and that he looks like he's started to take off, but it's only because of injuries and things like that, and it's really muddled. So yeah, Mitchell, I think, is showing all the signs of a player that's about to explode. Roschon Johnson and Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman, all those, I would just suggest staying away unless you have a extra roster spot. This is where picking up one of those guys would be fine. Let's say if one of those guys is in the pool, you're playing against somebody that just lost Ramondre Stevenson. There's not much in the pool. That's the best thing in the pool. Yeah, go and grab him for defense. Okay, but not to play. Ty Chandler, look, we're hearing all these promises. We hear the promises that he looks the best, and he does, and that he's the most explosive, and he is. But then Alexander Mattison just not going away. It's just not happening, everybody. It's interesting. Let me just go ahead and tell everybody this, okay? So it's kind of like this, it's the same two things, all right? Ty Chandler, okay, is not going away, just like the Astros dynasty is not dead. Both of these are storylines that the media is trying to push that just ain't true. Okay? All right, so I just don't. I mean, again, if you have a roster spot, it's the best thing out there, sure, fine, whatever. DJ Dallas is the most interesting of the 3, because you have to keep an ear out on Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Now, there's talk about Kenneth Walker might be coming back. I would be surprised if Kenneth Walker is back. If he is back, because after the loss to Dallas this last week, Pete Carroll came out and said that Walker's injury is complex. All right, so that's for Pete Carroll talk. That's really big, 'cause he's a rah kind of guy. He's like, rub some dirt on it, it'd be fine. It's okay. For him to start saying it's complex, it sounds like they're starting to lean towards extending his absence. So I'd be surprised if he comes back. Charbonnet had a knee bruise. Dude, look, a week's time, with proper therapy, a knee bruise can be fine for him to perform. All right, and so I think that he had a little bit extra time because it was on Thursday night. So just keep an eye out on that. If you hear that Walker and Charbonnet is not playing, then you're excited about starting a running back against, I think, San Francisco, then yeah, I go for it, but yeah, again, that's if you're very desperate. All right, so let's go ahead and let's move on to the wide receivers. All right, so wide receivers, already talked about Romeo Doubs, okay, and Jaden Reed, okay, so I think those are the second, in my opinion, they're the second priority wide receivers. Those two guys, and in Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed's probably not available, so Romeo Doubs probably is. So he's the second one on my list. Number one on my list really is Noah Brown. Okay, that's why I designed the Merry Early Christmas the way that I did, and around Nico Collins, to sidestep Nico Collins and to focus on Noah Brown. That it really does look like he doesn't have a good matchup and this is a guy, again, he does not have a good matchup this Sunday coming up, and I would not recommend playing him, not because of the matchup. Seriously, not because of the matchup. I think that the Jets defense is wilting, and I think that the Jets team in itself is just wilting. Okay, they're beatable. So if they have an overpowered and passionate team coming at them, they'll back off. All right, they can be run down, even at home. The thing that scares me is that it's supposed to be raining, like 20-mile-an-hour winds. Okay, I don't want any wide receiver in that situation, including Nico Collins. Okay, but this is not a sit show for that game. This is just a waiver wire pickup. But so that's why I'm saying waiver wire pickup. Noah Brown is fantastic to pick up because next week they play against the Tennessee Titans. All right, and he should be pretty acclimated. And I still think there's an outside chance that Noah Brown's going to do well, but especially if the weather calms down, because it's interesting because Sunday is so far away right now. It's Tuesday. Sunday's so far away, so weather can change. I'm already seeing it with the Jacksonville game. It started off where it was going to be rainy and windy. Now the forecast is showing that the wind and the rain's going to actually happen earlier than Sunday. And so Sunday is going to be fine. So just keep an eye out. You can't really make too much predictions on weather right now. But as far as a start-sit show, that's why I'm saying Noah Brown, somebody to pick up. If the weather is fine in New York, then I think that Brown is definitely a start. Flex at least, at the very least. Flex. I would say wide receiver too. I know he goosed you, man. I know he didn't look good, but he's coming back. He was coming back from a knee injury. They were not expecting Tank Dell to get injured, of course, and so the offensive attack was including Tank Dell. Now it's going to be including Noah Brown, and we've seen what happens whenever there's a wide receiver that's out. Noah Brown is the one that is been practicing as part of the offensive attack. In that situation. Elijah Moore is only good if Joe Flacco is going to play. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm just going to say it just that way. All right. Look, there's not 100% sure that Joe Flacco is going to play this coming up week. All right. So the starter will be coming back with the from the could be coming back from the concussion. Keep an eye on that DTR. So if he comes back, or you start hearing that he's getting limited practices, remember how the concussion protocol works. That they go through some stages, but the last bit of the stages is limited practice, and then cleared by an independent neurologist. So if you start hearing like limited practice starting on Wednesday, then Elijah Moore stock would be threatened. Also. Amari Cooper. I didn't mention this in the news either, but Amari Cooper was also concussed. Same situation. So if you see limited practice, Amari Cooper, then you already know that Elijah Moore is going to be the second fiddle. However, if Amari Cooper is out, then Elijah Moore would be the number one against Jacksonville. I mean, they allow the 10th most fantasy points to wide receivers this season. So it's not a bad stab if you have to go with it, but it is a lot of lot of risk that's involved with those guys. And I think that's the end of if my wide receiver list. It's not that many, really not that many. So there's only just a hand. I want to make sure and recommend who I think would really help you. Okay, and there's not really that many that now. Okay, moving on. Let's move on to the tight ends. The tight ends, of course, these are really simple. Isaiah Likely. Look out for Trey McBride, but he can't help you this week. So if you need to start this week, he's not the guy. He was the main wide receiver, and Marquise Brown, Hollywood. I didn't mention this in the news either, but he left the game with a heel injury. They had the bye week, so it could heal up. Yeah, and that no pun was really intended. It just kind of happened. That's kind of neat when stuff like that happens. But that's why I chuckled. He could be back in time, so Trey McBride would be sharing with Brown, so it wouldn't be as big of a pickup. That's why I'm mentioning it now. If you don't need him for this week, he's a speculative add, because if Brown is out for a significant amount of time, then McBride's going to look really, really good. Mark Andrews is out, as you know, so Isaiah Likely, he has some sustaining power, so I like him. Dalton Schultz, if he got dropped, he's somebody that you could pick up. With the void at Tank Dell, you don't know what the target's going to go. We're assuming it's going to go to Noah Brown. Logically, it would go to Noah Brown, but it could go to Schultz. Schultz has a hamstring issue, didn't practice at all last week, so it's still a little shady right now, Tuesday. But again, speculative add if you need a backup. Let me see if there's any other tight ends. Brevin Jordan's connected to that. Gerald Everett is in a good situation, so he caught 4 passes for 44 yards. But it was in the rain. Should be better weather this week. So yeah, it's risky, but I like that. I like him better than like Chigakonkwo. Gerald Everett. I like him better than that. He seems better. And then also, if you want to do a speculative ad and put in Zach Ertz, that might be interesting. Just because he said he can sign with a contender, so he might be just somebody kind of cool to be put on your bench. And then let's say if he signs with somebody who needs a tight end. Bam, he's awesome. Let's talk about him returning to Philadelphia. How would you like that? How about that, Dallas Goddard managers? How about that, Devontae Smith managers? Don't want that. But there's talk about it. We'll see what happens. All right, moving on to the defenses. Defenses are really easy this week. The Saints have a really good matchup. But my number one is the Texans. Houston Texans against the Jets. Man, that thing is so discombobulated, that offense. Not good. Green Bay has a great matchup, so Green Bay is also a good pickup. And these defenses, Houston, the Saints, and Green Bay, I'd probably put it in this order. Houston, Green Bay, Saints. That's how I would put them. These three have really good matchups to end the season, so these could be like your sit and forget defenses. So Houston, Green Bay, and the Saints. But the Saints, they have Lattimore's out, so that's weakened the Saints tremendously. So that's why I have them last. Green Bay, they're a good defense. They're a good defense. They have a good situation set up, so that's why I kind of like them in the middle. And then, of course, the top is the Houston Texans. So I think we did it. Yeah. So let's go ahead and let's jump to Thursday night football. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right. So Thursday night football. Coming up, oh my gosh, it's an instant classic. Instant classic. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the New England Patriots. Yeah, listen to this, everybody. The over-under, 30 points. Over-under. PU smells bad. Yeah, the Steelers are 6-point favorites. It's going to be terrible. It's going to be awful. The only person that you can kind of start in the flex would be Zeke, because everybody, you're going to be paying up for him, and he's going to be getting all the work. It's kind of like I said, it's a poor man Zach Charbonnet. So it's going to be like that, so I wouldn't be expecting low wide receiver two, low running back two numbers, with the upside of strong, solid RB2 numbers. That's based on if he gets into the end zone, which is not a given. So yeah, but the Steelers defense is banged up. That's why I think it would be possible for him to do that. But let's just see what happens. On the Pittsburgh Steelers side, I would start, of course, Jaylen Warren, and also the Najee Harris. I would start them. And see, that's where it gets funky. It gets funky there because of Trubisky. The only receiving option I would start after that is Deontay Johnson, man, but not with confidence. Not with confidence, man. The New England Patriots, their defense is pretty good. But they're really not that terrible. They really aren't. So they shut down Keenan Allen. The rain helped. But they did. He didn't have an incredible game. Herbert didn't have an incredible game, so that has to be contributed to the Patriots. So yeah, so with that, I would say don't start Deontay Johnson. Now that I talk to myself tells me not to do Deontay Johnson. Just the only startable assets in this game really are, with confidence, Warren and Najee Harris. Okay, just don't hurt me. Not in the face. It's a not in the face start. That would be Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah. So see, it really isn't that hard. This one's really not that hard. It's just gonna be gross. Okay, it's just not. So I don't think it's gonna be fun. It's not gonna be fun. Yeah. So anyway, all right, that does it. That does it for the episode. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content provided, please hit the like and subscribe button. Let us know that you're out there loving the show, and of course, click that bell. Get an announcement when we get new shows. We do the last minute start sit advice. So yeah, make sure and do that. We do all types of shorts and things of that sort. Neat content. Pretty cool. But you might miss it if you don't click that bell, so make sure and do that. Check out supporters of the show, highvolumemusicradio.com. It's a radio station. It's a new station startup. Could use your support. It needs your support, and it deserves your support. It's a very, very good radio station playing incredible music 24/7. The only time it's not playing the incredible music is when it has amazing shows, and one of those amazing shows is, of course, mine. Yes, I have a sports talk show, live sports talk show called Drive Time Sports with Charlie and Brian. It's every Thursday on highvolumemusicradio.com, also on the free High Volume Music Radio app. Yeah, so every Thursday, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. live. If you have any fantasy questions, feel free to give me a call. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you have, or defend any takes that I make. Okay, cool. All right, so I would like to thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this year is an even better year than the last, even though it's not for me. Hope it is for you. And, of course, time for the parting shots. I'm going to say this because I need to explain it to you now. We are in, if you're fighting for your playoff life, remember, it's better to start a pretty good player, okay, an average player, solid player in a good matchup than it is to start a stud in a really bad matchup with bad weather. So keep an eye out for that. And then also, watch your kickers, man. There's going to be a lot of bad weather. Right now, it's predicted to be a lot of bad weather. It could clear up like I was talking about earlier, but watch your kickers, okay? So make sure to be able to pivot if you see a kicker in a really bad weather situation, okay? High water, or high weather, high winds, a lot of rain. You don't want that as your kicker when you're fighting for your fantasy playoff life. All right. So let's do the last line with that. Remember, everyone, in fantasy football, as in life. Huh? Don't dream it, be it. All right. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Oh, hey, there we go. Hey, there it is. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for watching. All right. Bye-bye.